Are you frustrated with online dating? Confused by all the new apps and fancy dating sites? Do you find yourself choosing the wrong person again and again? Well, studies show that hiring a dating coach can maximize your online dating experience. So no worries, I've got you. And I've created a virtual course called Doing Dating Right. It's a 5-video series that you can complete at your own pace in your own space, right at home. How to write your online dating bio, pick that perfect picture, and so much more. Want more info? Go to my website at jenniferhurwitz.com. Again, it's jenniferhurwitz.com. Good morning. Good morning. This is Doing Relationships Right. I'm Jennifer Hurwitz. I'm your host every Tuesday and every other Friday for a Just Jen episode. But if you're watching today, you can see that this is clearly not a Just Jen because I have Gilza Fort-Martinez in the house with me today. And I'm very excited. If you're watching, you can see, and if you're listening, then you're going to hear her voice in just a couple seconds as soon as I bring her out because I have to read this today. I'm going to do a little intro, which sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But because you're a new guest, Gilza, I'm going to say, I read this a little bit. Gilza Fort-Martinez, let's get it all right here, is a bilingual licensed marriage and family therapist in Florida with over 30 years of experience in conflict resolution, improving interpersonal relationships, and navigating life transitions. Am I good?
Good.
I'm going to let you do the rest, but basically you deal in not only life, in navigating life, but basically women's transitions, right?
Uh-huh.
All that good stuff.
Yeah.
Hi, Gilza. How are you?
Jennifer. Thank you so much for inviting me. I love to hear your podcast. You're so enthusiastic. And so
I'm just so glad you're here. This is a topic that I think is really, it's funny. I haven't really spoken about like this in a long time. I don't think so. This is a topic we're going to talk about today that about betrayal and getting back into relationships or deciding to stay or go and that kind of thing. I haven't talked about it in a long time. So I'm excited. I think my listeners are going to be, they're going to be interested in this one. I'm looking forward to it. So tell us a little bit about yourself and how you started doing what you're doing and all that good stuff. And then we'll get into it. Is that okay?
Okay. Well, as you said, even though it's a little ouch when you said 30 years, but you're right. It's what I've been doing for 30 years. And I have to tell you that I still really love and enjoy what I do, working with people, really helping people come through, really find ways to navigate all of the various things that life throws at us. And so I started practicing private practice about 25 years ago, but came in through this a little on the side as a kid of an immigrant. My parents were very much about education, and my father was an attorney. I was supposed to be an attorney. I promise you, Jennifer, I really tried to be an attorney, but that was not really, what called me. My father and I had to come to terms on the fact that, he was a very good attorney and really believed in the law.
Okay.
So had to come to a place where he understood that I was going to help people in one way and he was going to help people in another way. And so for me, it was a piece of this coming through a little bit of various doors until I realized, hey, what really calls me is working with family, working with, women as we go through the various life stages that we all go through. Not to say that men don't, but many of us as women, right, are the core or the backbone of our families. And so how we navigate that and providing resources and normalizing or demystifying a lot of things has always been a big piece of how I work with people. So when I've heard your podcast, it really very much aligned with what I like to do, which is, sometimes we have the Cinderella idea, right, in our heads.
Sometimes, right. Yeah.
And when Cinderella kind of, blows up on us, we're devastated and we figure, I come from a culture in which, you're supposed to be more of a mother than a person. And so it always intrigued me on, okay, but there's got to be more ways for us to kind of come back, realign ourselves, and that's what will help me be a better, happier mother, not the other way around. So it's kind of been a roundabout way that I've come to what I do and what I would love to talk with you further about today.
Well, let's do it. And you have you do have a, is it the Resolution Counseling Center? You're the CEO of your
Yes,
own.
of my own practice, and
Yeah,
it
that's
was for the
amazing.
most part a woman-run practice,
I love that.
both from interns as well as a lot of my partners have been women that we kind of grew up in the practice. When everybody said to us, "Oh my gosh, you're going to die of hunger in private practice. You have to stay in the agencies and in the hospital." I was like, well,
Uh-uh.
no, I want to kind of do my own way. And so,
Yeah,
again, different ways that we've had to kind of create and do paths differently than what have been offered to us, right?
I think that's great. I think that we need that. And so, do you feel like most of your clientele are women going through divorce, going through? Yeah. Mhm.
A lot of them, however, not solely, because a lot
Okay.
of them are in the process of wanting to like reconnect with their partners. So
Right.
not necessarily wanting always to divorce.
Yeah.
Although more and more women are the initiators of divorce,
It's
there's a
interesting.
lot more research on that. But I think it's just that's why I talk about transitions, because it's really about the various stages that we go through. And of course, marriage for many of us as women, marriage, motherhood is a big, huge one. It's again the Cinderella, right? This is what we're supposed to do: live happily ever after. You know,
Yep. Oh, Trump, tell me. I feel like sometimes if we just had our expectations in line before, we got married, I feel like I would love to get a whole group of engaged couples together and say, look let's set our expectations a little differently. Like we would
absolutely.
be
I would love
much
that.
better off.
Let me know
Oh,
if you
let's
ever
do
want
that.
to
Let's do it.
put
I would
some
love to
people
do it.
together. I think that would be great. Yes.
I mean, I really do. I know that when I was, gosh, 20, whatever years ago, when I was looking to when I got married, I didn't know. I just expected, oh, it's going to be easy.
Right.
This will be no problem. It's whatever, the white picket fence. No, it's work. Relationships take work,
Right.
right?
Right.
I mean,
It takes work.
and I was not prepared.
Right.
I
Absolutely,
was
you're
not
not.
prepared.
You know.
No. And I feel like had I known then what I know now and had the tools and the skills that I've learned in the last, gosh, 10 years, I wouldn't have been divorced. It's kind of,
I
you
think
know,
that that's a big piece of what I talk a lot with my clients about, Jennifer. The whole idea of, you know, this isn't supposed to be easy. We have that.
right.
That's another part of the Cinderella myth. It isn't supposed to be easy, but it's also not supposed to be so hard that it's overwhelming.
Right.
Right?
Right. There's
It's
got to be that
right.
like,
There's that
right.
delicate balance there, and there has to be, what I always tell my couples, right, is I can teach you how to do communication in a much better way, more effective, more reciprocal. I can teach you to have a good, passionate argument, but that's still respectful and not producing damage. The only thing I can't do for you is give you willingness, right?
Right.
You have to bring the willingness to want to do the work, to maybe repair work, to the table. That's the only thing I can't help you with.
Right. So do you think, I'm going to ask you a couple questions in your opinion. Do you think that it takes two people? Do both people have to have to be willing to put in the effort? I mean, I know my answer,
I
in
mean,
your
it
opinion.
does. However, I'm not
Yeah.
going to tell you that after, as long as I've been doing this, that I certainly haven't done couples work or marriage counseling, right, with just one person. Because if I
Right.
can, even if I can get one person, the concept of that one person, though, is again, are you willing to you do your shifts that have to do with your 50% of the relationship? If you're going to come into
Right.
me to ask me how you can change your partner, that's not going to work.
Mm-mm.
Right.
Exactly.
So,
Say that again for people in the back.
right. It is not
Exactly.
going to work if you want to come in to change your partner. But if you want
Right.
to come in, it's more effective if both of you come in and want, kind of are on the same page of wanting to do the repair work. But it isn't absolutely necessary.
Right. I think also people come in and you have to be able to, want to hold yourself accountable for what your part is, what you're playing in the relationship. I know people come to me and they start pointing fingers. Well, like, he did this and she did that. I'm like, wait a minute. If you're not ready to hold yourself accountable for your own part in this,
Exactly.
that's a problem.
That to me is the first step. And
Yeah.
what is your role in this? And so whether somebody's coming in because they've already, separated or divorced, or whether somebody is in the process of wanting to do some, reconstruction, repair work, those kinds of things. Either way, everything comes back down to, the self.
Yeah,
Okay.
I agree. Okay, I have another question for you. Do you see, and this, I don't see couples, I'm a dating coach. So do you see couples coming in younger and younger, the trend?
Not really, not for me. I'm not
Okay,
going to
good.
tell you that I don't have them, because I certainly
Yeah,
do have couples that are young, but you know, think about it. That part hasn't changed that much from,
okay,
certainly
good.
when I was younger, maybe when you were younger, and so forth. We When you come together with the whole love concept, right? And all of those love hormones come up, and we
Oh,
are like in the throes, and that's just wonderful. Again, it's like you said, that's where it would be wonderful to have some conversations with people about
I agree.
what are the
I agree.
realities and so forth. But very often, a lot of my couple clientele tends to be in their 30s and 40s. So
Right.
they've been together 8 to 10 years, and they're looking and saying, well, this is not what I signed up for. This is not what it was supposed to be, you know?
I know, right?
Right.
That's exactly when we started. But I feel like if we could just get people in there before that, before they start getting to that, like, oh, the eye opening, the honeymoon's over, honeymoon phase stage is over. And we could just say, look, here's what's coming next. Let's just get ready. Here are some tools.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. I
Wouldn't that
would
be
love that.
nice?
And I do that, but I will tell you, my daughters are 27 and 21. My own daughters, will struggle with the whole idea of going into counseling. So this is why I love this kind of stuff of what you're doing, and with podcasts, and really
Thank you.
offering the resources out there, and really demystifying the whole idea of what I do. Because my own daughters, who know what I do for a living,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
will not, not openly and willingly go into counseling.
Isn't that right? You would think, like,
Right. The idea
wouldn't you love to get
being
like a
I'm going
group?
into
Yeah.
counseling means I have a problem, or I have a
Oh, that's
problem
so
in my
great. Yeah.
relationship. And so if that happens even in my own, small
Right.
little nucleus, that's, it's still the impression of out there,
There's something wrong.
for a lot
Yeah.
of people. Right.
I would love to get, like, let's say a bachelorette party. Like at the bachelorette party, like part of it is like, oh, let's get the girls together and do like a girls' night where like one of us comes in,
Oh my God, I would love that.
right?
What a
And
great
we do like
idea.
like a doing relationships right, like pre-party,
Oh my
and like
God,
get a
that would be
dating
a
coach or
great idea.
relationship expert come in, and like how fun would that be? Like make it a fun
And
night.
make it a fun night. That
Yes,
would
and
be
then you do like
awesome.
I'm telling you, and then like or just have like the couple like a pre-marriage whatever,
Uh-huh.
and have the guys and the girls all come together and you have drinks and whatever and a theme. I think it would be amazing.
Listen, you're giving me, a lot of
I
ideas here.
know.
Okay.
You should do it. I'm telling you, I
'Cause
want to do it, and I really feel like there should be no shame in this game.
Right.
Like if I had like 10 tips to like what I wish I knew before I said I do.
Exactly. That's
There's the
great.
party right there.
Yeah.
What I wish I knew before I said I do. And like,
You're
you know what I
good at
mean?
this.
Make it.
You're good at this
I
kind
know,
of thing.
right? Look at that. That's what I do. I mean, I'm telling you, like, how great would that be?
Right. Absolutely.
You should do it.
Absolutely.
I'm telling you.
And
then sit
that
these
really
kids
is the
down.
cause, because then by the time people get to me,
Right.
definitely by the time they get to you, right?
Oh yeah.
But by the time they get to me as a clinician, they are in trouble, either
Right.
personally or as a couple.
Right. And isn't that so? It's too bad because we could just stop it and nip it in the bud because you're right. By the time they get to you, they're trying to repair.
Right.
And then sometimes they go through a divorce, right? And then they come to me and they're post divorce and now they're dating again.
Right.
But they haven't done the work.
They haven't
right?
done the work. Right.
But on themselves.
Right.
So then I send them away and I say, go find someone who can help you do the work on yourself. Figure out your attachment style, figure out your love language, and then come back to it's like this cycle of if we could just start at the beginning.
Right. Right. I agree.
I mean, maybe that's my next book.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I'm happy to collaborate.
let's
Yes. Okay, because those things that you're talking about, bringing in as far as a bachelorette or even just as the couples, and making it fun, so it isn't this big, heavy,
Right.
look at all the things that could go wrong kind of thing, but rather look at all the things that could go right, and here's how you can
Right.
encourage it, and here's how you can make it happen, right?
It should be. It doesn't have to. I feel like even with dating, my clients, they're like, "Oh, it's such hard work, and it's so frustrating." And I'm like, it should be positive, and
Right.
people. I feel like even like a communication toolbox,
Right.
like here are the tools you need to get through your first 7 years before the itch comes.
Right.
It's like,
Yes, exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
because
And there
then they
really
wouldn't have
are
to worry.
tools. There really are
Yes,
concrete tools that we can offer. Except that, again, I'll speak for just us as women, that we think we don't need. I found my prince, and there he is.
right.
And then only when we realize that the prince isn't so white and shiny and the horse is a little, tainted, and all of
Yeah,
that kind of
yeah,
stuff is when, right, we have all of the, well, what did I do wrong, and
right.
how did I do this, and it becomes a lot more complicated there than like you said, to just know the horse is never 100% beautiful white horse. The prince's armor is always
Expectations.
got a little kinks in it. It's always going to be like that. The job is about figuring out how to kind of work with what you got, what you've chosen.
And then you throw the kids in the mix, right? And then it's like so much, it just adds on more. So do you think, I'm just going to ask you a couple questions, but when that 7-year itch comes, and then you throw in the social media, and you throw in the, the emotional affairs and the blah, do you think it just, I mean, if co-parenting during a pandemic taught us anything, it's that you need proof your kids are safe. With alcohol abuse on the rise, many co-parents are turning to the no-nonsense system committed to providing proof, protection, and peace of mind. Soberlink's alcohol monitoring system is the most convenient, reliable, and reasonable way for a parent to provide evidence that they are not drinking during parenting time. Soberlink's real-time alerts make it easy to negotiate with any party. Judges rest assured that the child is safe. Attorneys get court-admissible evidence of sobriety, and both parents have empowerment and peace of mind. Do divorce right and trust the experts in remote alcohol monitoring technology to keep your kids safe, happy, and well-adjusted. To download the guide, 5 non-negotiables for embracing a new normal that I developed with Soberlink, visit www.soberlink.com/DRR. People cheat and whatever. Do you think you can survive that? I mean, I think you can. I think the people, but do you see that a lot? I mean,
I do. I think that
Yeah.
I certainly have worked with people and couples that have survived and even thrived after an affair of any kind, from emotional to sexual. Right? I have seen that. The primary, or the key component to that, Jennifer, is that, again, willingness. Does everybody want to do the work that is going to be required? The person who cheated is going to have zero to none credibility for a while. Are they willing to take that on and be accountable? The other partner, are they willing to take a look at what potentially was their role in the situation? We're not talking about blame or flinging stuff at each other. Just simply, as you had called it, accountability. Because at the end of the day, it takes two to tango. It takes two
Absolutely. I
to
agree.
create a relationship. So I have seen it. I have helped couples work through that. There's definitely some ground rules that have to be set from the beginning, about transparency, about honesty, about again, the person who cheated is going to take what I call emotional hits for a while.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
are they willing to do that? And I describe for them what that is. So I think they can, as long as people understand that there's going to be work here that has to be done. This isn't just,
Right.
hey, listen, I'm sorry, I'm never going to do this again, and we're done.
No.
All right.
Right. I mean, how long does a person take those emotional hits? I mean, it's a long time, right?
It
I
can
mean,
be.
it can be.
It
Yeah.
can be. Now,
There's no time set.
there really isn't a time set. I do say to people from the beginning that, obviously this can't be forever, because then we're not doing repair work. Then we're just going to be in vindictive mode. I'm going to hold this over your head forever.
Yeah, that's not going to work.
Okay, so that's not going to work, and that's very toxic, and life is too short, and all of that kind of stuff, right? So there does have to be a time frame, but it does vary in the couple, and what is each person willing to do. So for me, it's really first and foremost about addressing how come everybody's here. Like, why do we want to save this? What is it?
Right.
What was there before all of this happened? To see if there is a place for rebuilding.
Okay, I have another quick. Can we talk about more about betrayal? Do you mind?
Sure.
Okay. So what happens if do you feel like honesty is the only way to, like, do you have to tell all the details? Everyone always asks me that. Like, is it important to tell all the details? Is the person that cheated have to, like, let's say that I was cheated on and I say to my partner, I want to know everything. You have to tell me, do you think that's a good idea?
I think it very much, of course, it always depends on the individual. But one of the things that I would say to you, if you were that person that wanted to know all the details, is I would ask you, are you sure?
Yeah.
Are you sure that you want to know all the details? Because once you know them, you can't unknow them.
That's such a good point.
Okay.
So that's such a good point.
Now,
Yes.
do you want to have information? Yes. So what would I say to you that came in, even if you came in with your partner trying to see if there was a place to reconcile? I would ask you to write me every single question you have.
Oh.
Okay. Every single question, but you're going to write that for me. And you and I would have some conversation to help you to decide that how much, if any of it, but how much is it that you want to have information and actually ask your partner about, and then do you want the answers? Because don't ask questions you don't want answers to.
I totally agree with you. I never want, you never ask questions you don't want answers to, because once you get that answer, it's there.
Right, exactly. But a lot of people think that, I have to know every single detail in order to move forward. I don't really think so.
I don't think so.
But again, what's your partner doing with all of that? If your partner is sitting there absolutely reneging on giving you information, if he is or she is like the cat on the door frame, not wanting to go through, and that's a whole other situation, and that's about
do you
groundwork.
feel like groundwork. So do you feel like if the person is just getting rid of their guilt by giving you the information, like they want to tell you everything, unload it, because then their guilt is gone, so they feel better. Like, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like I always said to my husband, I call my ex-husband my husband. I'm like, look, if you cheat on me, you keep it to yourself. You live with the guilt.
Right.
I don't want it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But like, people think I was nuts, but I was like, no, I just don't want to know. Like, I think you should live with that guilt.
Right.
But maybe that's wrong too. I don't know.
Well, I mean, again, it depends on how they use it, because if they live with that guilt and they walk around with that guilt and it's evident, it's still having impact between you. So, how much information is shared is I think very unique to the couple. I think there needs to be enough information so that you can begin the process of reassurance and rebuilding trust. Okay. So there has to be enough information. And then to me, there has to be, so from here forward, what are we doing?
Right.
Okay. It becomes very important to clarify how we want to move forward into the future.
Yeah, because a lot of times I see even my friends that I know of that have had issues where like the wife or the husband will make like comments, like even in public, like snide comments about like, well, if you didn't, you know what I'm saying, like resentful, mean. like it has to stop at some point, right?
It
I mean,
has
if
to
you're going to
stop.
stay together.
Right. If you're going to stay, I mean, lots of people stay together in a whole bunch of different ways. I'm sure you
Yes,
know
of course.
people like that,
Right.
right? But if you want to stay together in a way that's relatively healthy, where you can have some sense of life satisfaction and relationship satisfaction, yeah, there has to be a point where that is jointly put into the past. Okay.
Yes.
And it isn't
Yeah.
just, the partner who cheated who says, okay, listen, you just need to get over it. Or the other person who says, well, I don't know how I'm ever going to get over it. But it does,
Right.
and I work with couples very much about co creating their story. Okay. And so really working on how do they want to move from here on. Okay.
Okay.
And that piece may be specific to the couple, but there are, of course, some things that we can do in general, like I'm sure you do with your clients. There are some things that are broad tools that we can give, and then right we narrow them into the specific of your client.
Right. Right. Oh. Okay. So when my biggest thing is when people just throw away the relationship, we're like, oh my gosh, they're just done. It's black and white, and they cheat and it's over, and the kids are involved, and I just feel like there's got to be more. That.
I agree. I think that the one and done kind of concept isn't necessarily. There are some
Right.
situations, Jennifer, with addiction, with abuse, with those kinds of things that maybe you feel like, yeah, this is I got to get out. Okay.
Yep.
In other situations, there could be a little bit more exploration, done, and I think that rebuilding trust in a couple has to do with things like communication, the two-way street part. Somebody talks, then somebody listens, then we have to take turns. It has a lot to do with forgiveness. Okay.
A lot.
A lot to do
Yeah.
with forgiveness. So not just of the other person, but maybe even of yourself,
Right.
and then there has to be consistency. We make we
Oh.
I help people to co-create new agreements, and then we got to do them. We got to do these new agreements. What you
Mm-hmm.
don't use, you lose, as they say, right?
Right.
So it's this process that in there is where you can determine, is there enough substance here to preserve, or do I have to know when to cut my losses?
Yeah. Okay. I have one more question for you before I let you go. I can't keep you all day, but I have one more important question because I think this is people ask me this all the time and I never know what to say. Do you think an emotional affair is just as bad as like a physical, like, is it the same or is it different? How do you feel? I
I
mean,
mean, personally, I
yeah.
think it's the same,
Okay.
meaning that there has been a violation of my trust,
Sure. Sure.
Um, yeah, obviously there's a variety of different types of affair, from
Okay.
all the way from the flirtation to the
Okay.
emotional to the actual sexual encounter. But I think that it's the violation of trust. It's the
Me too.
secrecy that really
Yeah.
hurts
Yeah. I
things,
agree.
right?
I do too. Yeah. And I just feel like it's the not knowing. It's the, if he, I always say, I'll say he because I'm whatever, but like, it's like if he's talking to her and, if they're having a conversation, what are they talking about? Like, are they talking about me? Are they bad mouthing me? Are they, what is he telling her that he can't share with me?
That he's not sharing with you. And so that's the piece that is has been broken or bent,
Yeah.
depending
Right.
on the relationship, on the couple. That yes, it is that violation of trust. It's that
Right.
boundary or that implicit promise that we make, that, like you said at the beginning of our
Mm-hmm.
talk, that if we would make this a little more over, hey, this is what we're
Mm-hmm.
agreeing to. But we go into these relationships, right, Jennifer, usually with just implicit expectations. Just, this is what I'm assuming that you're going to do. And
Right.
then we're surprised when it doesn't happen. Okay.
Right.
So any of that,
Right.
I think, is impactful, but not impossible. And
I,
it's
I like
not
that.
impossible to overcome if both people want to be able to explore it.
Oh, I think this has been such a great episode. I think it's really important that people understand that it's not impossible to repair a relationship. I think people, even I did, I just jumped so quickly. I just thought, you know what, this isn't working. And we did therapy and it didn't work. And, we just I just thought the grass would be greener. And it just was not. It was not, you know, I mean, it's hard.
It's hard.
It's hard.
It's hard.
It is.
And like you said, the rebuilding of trust is not only with your couple. Now you're doing the rebuilding of trust with yourself, right? You've been working on that. Okay. So
Yes.
either way, it's a life transition that, could be my bias, could be your bias, but I really think that it's more helpful to do with an objective outside party rather than to just let it, ruminate and, kind of fester in our heads.
Agree. I definitely think that you can, especially when you're going through a life transition, whether it's divorce or, looking for a new career, or like me, I'm going from being a stay-at-home mom, kind of whatever, to I'm losing my babies, both of them, and empty nesting. It's like
Right.
I think you should get help. I think a therapist is just. I mean, I'm so pro. I mean, obviously, what I do for a living, but I'm so pro coaching and therapy and
Right.
getting
An
help
outside
you need to go
perspective,
through
I
it.
think, is always helpful, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Oh
absolutely.
my gosh. So Hilda, tell everybody where they can find you.
Well, I have genuinely stepped into the 21st century, as my daughters will say, and so you can find me on Instagram at Tough Love Healer. Okay. Or my.
Do I follow you? Do we follow each other? I need to follow you.
I don't know. I hope that you do. That you would follow
I hope
me.
so. I will now.
Okay. Yes.
I will now.
That would be
Your
great.
website is beautiful.
My website is hilsafort.com. And there you can get a little bit, more information about how I work and my little bit of musings, like I call them my Monday morning musings. So my blogs and my, articles and things like that. And always happy to be able to, guide somebody, redirect somebody in whatever part of their life that they're in. So I appreciate this opportunity to talk with you, Jen.
Oh, it's nice to have you. You're so calming. My energy is all like, positive, and you're just, I think you're fabulous. So,
thank you.
Everyone can find Hilza, and everything will be in the show notes so people can find you, and please come back.
I would love to. Thank you very much. We could
Oh
talk
my gosh,
further about rebuilding, right? About
yes,
rebuilding.
rebuilding everything,
Yeah.
rebuilding and trusting and healing and all that good stuff. So, everyone follow Hilza, please. And, you know where to find me, I guess, jenniferhurwitz.com. You guys, if you're listening, and, all over Instagram and that good stuff. But do something good for yourself today. Do something fabulous, and reach out to someone. If you are, looking for help and you are lost, or you're getting divorced, or you're going through a life transition, please reach out to someone, and don't do it alone, because it's tough.
Right,
And
it's tough.
we believe in finding some help.
Right.
That's
Absolutely.
right. We're sticking to it. Okay, everybody, have a fabulous day. Peace, love, and so much truth. We'll talk to you soon. Bye, y'all.